Well, Gallant Green Road is a very long road. It is currently 1040, and in front of us, between these two poles, is a house that stands on the former lot that belonged to Joseph Cantor. So, who is Joseph Cantor? Well, there's not a lot of information on him. Probably James O. Hall did the best job of digging into him, and what he has at the research center shows that he had land off of Gallant Green Road here, and that this house, which James O. Hall photographed in 1980, is on the same property line that Joseph Cantor had. You see cars going by right now. They are on Gallant Green Road. I am off the road a little bit behind some train tracks so that people aren't worried about me sitting down. So why am I stopping here? Well, it's because of David Herold. Now, he made his statement after he was arrested and brought to Washington. He was on board the Ironclads. He was interrogated, and he gave a statement. Now, it is filled with lies and half-truths, and he does a really good job of covering up his own involvement. He even says that during the entire time that Booth got his legs set, he was nowhere in the area. He left Booth in the morning, and he magically got his legs set, and then he caught back up with him near Bryantown. And so everything that Davy says has to be taken, with a grain of salt. But there are also parts in here that are truthful and things that might hint to what they were doing. So at one point, Davy, in his statement, he is saying he is away from Booth. At this point, he's saying that Booth is at Mudd's. He doesn't name Dr. Mudd. He said Booth is somewhere getting his legs set, and Davy is on his own. And then it says, let's see. Oh, okay. It says, from the time you first met, so this is investigators asking Davy questions. From the time you first met him until you parted with him, was there anybody else with him? Answer, no, sir. We two were alone. When I met him, he says, come, let us take a ride down the road. I went to a free darkie's and bought some bread and milk. I went to a man at Crackling Town, above Bryantown, and got a drink. I don't know the darkie's name from whom I got the bread and milk. He lives below Bryantown. I have stopped within a mile of where he lives. It was about 7 or 8 o'clock. We went slowly. Booth would not ride fast. When I accused him a second time of the murder of the president, he said, I did it, and said also, if you leave me here, there are parties in Washington that will put you through. Question. When was it that you accused him the first time? Answer. At Bryantown, Saturday afternoon. When I left him, I heard of it. Question. How did you come to hear that the president had been killed and that a man named Booth had done it? Answer. Who it was told me, I do not know. I do not know the gentleman's name. Where was it? Answer. It was below Bryantown. Question. Whereabouts? Answer. Between Bryantown and Charlotte Hall. If I'm not mistaken, the gentleman's name is Cantor. So, in Davy's statement, he says he's away from Booth during the time at Mudd's, which we know is incorrect, but that he hears about Lincoln's assassination from a man named Cantor, who was between Bryantown and Charlotte Hall. Well, James O. Hall researched it and found the only one named Cantor who lived in the area was Joseph Cantor, and that this is where he would have lived. So while we know it's not true that Davy heard for the first time from Cantor that Lincoln had been assassinated, it is possible that on their way through the escape, that they stopped here at Joseph Cantor's house. Now, obviously, this is not the same house, but they just came from Gallant Green, like we said, looking at the roads. They didn't go into Bryantown, like he said, because it was swarming with troops. They would have, skirted Bryantown, which would have made them come down here down Gallant Green Road. Now, Cantor's house would have been further away from the road than this is. Obviously, roads are much closer, or houses are much closer to roads nowadays. He had more of a lot, so it would have been back behind it. But it's not impossible that the two of them came here, maybe once again looking for a guide, just like they did when they stumbled into, when Herold came up to Electus Thomas up at Oak Hill. So even if they didn't stop here, this is the most likely route. And since Cantor's place was right off this route, it's not impossible to think that Davy is telling a half-truth here. Not that he heard for the first time that Lincoln was assassinated, but that this is a spot that they stopped at, maybe to get food, maybe to ask for help. And the fact that he gives the man's name makes me think that he probably didn't get a warm reception here. When Davy gives a name, it's usually someone who they who didn't help them. And when he doesn't give a name or he gives a fake name, it's usually someone who did help them. For example, when he talks about going to Rich Hill, he doesn't say Samuel Cox, owner of Rich Hill. He says a man who lives there by the name of Thomas. So he changes the name and we know that Sam Cox did give them a great deal of help. So it's possible that Cantor did not give them help, and that is why Davy has no problem spreading his name. So where I'm going from here, so this is the lot of Joseph Cantor next to Gallant Green Road. I'm going to continue down Gallant Green Road, and then that's going to run me into Route 5. I'll bring my little map up here for a second so I can get stuff down. Cloud cover is nice. Alright, so we are here. Hold on a second. There we go, that's nice and zoomed in. Joseph Cantor's off of Gallant Green Road. So, and then we're going to come down to here, and our next stop is here, the home of Oswald Swann. Now you can see, at least on this map, there's not really any roads that went from Gallant Green into, this is Burnt Store Road, unless he went through Hughesville and then cut back around. Maybe there was a path or something that made it easier. I am going to cheat a little bit because I don't want to walk all the way to Hughesville and then back again. So I'm going to take 5. I'm going to go back a little bit and then head south, and I'll cut across right down here, and that'll take me real close to Oswald Swann's. And this is a place we know that they went to. So from Dr. Mudd's to Swann's, we don't exactly know, but it's strongly implied and very possible that they went to Oak Hill and here to Joseph Cantor's. And this route would have been one that they would have taken to avoid a hot spot in Bryantown. Remember, they told Dr. Mudd that they wanted to go here, Piney Church. But Piney Church was on the west side of the swamp, which ran. This line up here is the swamp. There's a little branch here by Dr. Mudd's. But eventually they wanted to go west, so that was their ultimate goal, because the Potomac, let me see if I have it on, it's not in this picture. The Potomac is west, and that's the only way that's their way of escaping. So right now they're stuck east. They don't want to stay east, but they have to go around Bryantown where the troops are. So this is just in that line. You can see there's this natural curve to go around Bryantown before they get to Swann's. So I'm going to continue walking now down Gallant Green, and then I'll cut across an invisible road that's here now that may not have been there in order to get me to the home of Oswald Swann. So this is Dave Taylor. It is 10:45. Yep, 10:45 a.m. on July the 24th, and I am signing off from the site of Joseph Cantor's house off of Gallant Green Road.